Tonight you'll eat something out of a package. Maybe a bar. Maybe a shake. Maybe a plate designed by an app that promises it's exactly what your ancestors ate. You'll feel good about it. You'll feel primal. But the real answer is far stranger than any of that. Ancient humans didn't eat one diet. They ate hundreds. Your body carries a myth inside it. The myth says early humans were meat-eating hunters, chasing mammoths across frozen plains, living on protein and fat alone. It's a clean story. It's a simple story. It's mostly wrong. Here's what actually happened. For most of human evolution, meat was rare, precious, not the daily foundation people imagine. Anthropologist Alyssa Crittenden spent years studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last groups on Earth still living by hunting and gathering. What she found wasn't a meat-heavy menu. It was tubers, berries, baobab fruit, honey when they could get it, which they prized above almost anything else. Meat showed up but irregularly, often shared across an entire camp within hours of a kill. Feast, then nothing. Why does this matter to you? Because your gut still remembers. Evolutionary biologist Catherine Milton spent decades comparing human digestive systems to those of other primates. Her research showed something surprising. Human intestines are shorter and less specialized than a chimpanzee's. We lost the massive fermenting gut that lets other apes survive on raw leaves and fibrous plants alone. We traded it for something else, a smaller gut, a bigger brain. That trade only works if the food is dense, concentrated, easy to digest, which brings you to fire. Richard Wrangham, a primatologist at Harvard, built an entire theory around a single idea. Cooking made us human, not agriculture, not meat. Cooking. His research suggests that once early humans began heating their food, something changed at the cellular level. Cooked starches and proteins release far more usable energy than raw ones. Your ancestors weren't just eating differently. They were unlocking calories that had been locked away for millions of years. Picture it, a small fire, a root buried in ash, someone waiting. That waiting is where you come from. Before fire, chewing alone could take hours a day. Raw food is tough, fibrous, stubborn. Once cooking entered the picture, eating got faster, digestion got easier, and the energy that used to go toward grinding food down got redirected somewhere else entirely, toward a brain that was about to triple in size. You are, quite literally, a cooked food animal. But cooking wasn't the whole story either. Location mattered. A group living near a coastline ate differently than a group living in a dry grassland. Some ancient diets leaned on shellfish and fish, rich in the fatty acids your brain still depends on today. Some leaned on wild grains, ground between stones long before anyone called it farming. Some leaned on insects, which are still eaten by roughly 2 billion people around the world right now, quietly, without headlines. There was no single ancestral plate. There were thousands of them, shaped by rivers, coastlines, seasons, and luck. So where did the myth come from? Where did the story of the meat-only hunter come from? Partly from bones. Bones preserve. Plants don't. When archaeologists find a site, they often find animal remains and almost nothing else, not because plants weren't eaten, but because plants rot, decay, vanish within years. The evidence skews the story. It makes hunting look like the whole diet, when it was often the smaller, riskier, more celebrated part of it. Think about that for a second. The food that got remembered wasn't the food eaten every day. It was the food that was hardest to get. Doesn't that sound familiar? You do the same thing. You remember the steak dinner. You forget the 100 bowls of rice that came before it. You remember the feast. You forget the days of small, steady, unremarkable meals that actually kept you alive. There's something else in this history worth sitting with. Diet flexibility, not diet purity, is what let your ancestors survive ice ages, droughts, migrations across entire continents. A species locked into one narrow way of eating dies when that food disappears. A species that can eat roots one season and fish the next, insects in a drought and fruit in a flood, survives almost anything. You are descended from the adaptable ones, not the strict ones. That's worth remembering the next time a rule tells you there is exactly one correct way to eat. Modern nutrition science backs this up more than people expect. Researchers studying long-lived populations around the world, from Sardinia to Okinawa, keep finding the same pattern. Not a single magic food. Not a single forbidden one. Variety. Whole ingredients. Food eaten slowly, often together, rarely alone. Your ancestors didn't eat clean. They didn't eat paleo. They ate whatever the land gave them, prepared as well as fire and stone tools allowed, shared because survival depended on the group, not the individual. Somewhere along the way, that story got flattened into a marketing pitch. But the deeper truth is more interesting than any diet plan. Your body isn't built for one food. It's built for change. Built to adapt to a fish-heavy year, and a root-heavy year, and a lean year with almost nothing at all. That flexibility isn't a flaw in your biology. It's the whole reason your biology exists. So tonight, when you eat something out of a package, promising it's exactly what your ancestors ate, remember this. Your ancestors weren't eating one thing. They were adapting to everything. And that adaptability, quiet, unglamorous, endlessly flexible, is the real inheritance sitting on your plate.